Hi everyone, here's an in-depth look at Spa in the Pro Mazda. Also, I edited the audio settings in the NVIDIA program now that allows you to change the mic to background noise ratio. So hopefully my voice is more audible now. Just make sure you get a clean exit out of the final corner. You don't want to spin the car up too much or else you lose a lot of drive out. Now coming down to here, I'm braking roughly just before the 50 meter marker. Yeah, so you're transitioning before that goes out of sight. And you want to dive the car down the second and get it into this inside apex. You need to deliver it in there with quite a bit of momentum. And the second it runs over there, pick the throttle up fairly quickly and push it all the way out to the outside of the track. You have to be careful because it's quite easy to put the car on the green AstroTurf off this, and that's a 1X, but you also have to really push it from the apex out wide to give you that momentum up the hill, or else you'll lose time that whole way. We had a bit of a debate in one of the host of practice sessions, whether the fact this is a different pit to the endurance pit makes lap times any different. And although the fact that they're identical tracks, I actually think it would, because a lot of people when starting their laps for the endurance pit layout take a really straight line here, then cut the car back and hard and run it really off the track and get a 1X and then slingshot it down to the main straight and up the hill. And I think the fact you can do that on this layout, at least for one flying lap, but you can't do it on the GP pits layout because the chicane at the end doesn't give you that ability, would probably make the endurance pit lap time just a little bit quicker. You know, if people are trying to maximize one lap anyway. So you get your exit out there and then just flat out up the hill. Just slightly touch the inside apex to get back to the outside one. Don't get up on them, you don't really need to cut him that much. This car doesn't lift through overage at all. You get up to close to about 145 miles down this straight. Now you're braking towards the outside of the track. There's no real marker, I'm just sort of using how long across the curbing you go. If you go deep and you snatch the front, and move the car on, you miss the inside apex, you'll lose a bucket load of time. So just make sure you drive the car up and over the front right on this inside curb here. I'm only going down the fourth. You can go down the third, but it unsettles it a little bit. So you connect with the inside apex with the front right, back over to this next apex with the front left to minimize the track distance. And then you want to bring the car out wide and sweep it back in and get the front right wheel up on this curb. Then get a clean exit. Now you don't want to push it too far out here or else it catches on the outside curb and you get a one-off. Now braking the straight line here and trailing it in, I'm overlapping the front and the brakes just to make the car squat down at the front and turn. Now you have to try and keep it on a fairly narrow line through here. If you let it run out wide, you lose track time. Now cut straight back to the outside and swing the car in. You want to get it up on that inside curb to minimize the track distance, and don't push it too far out. Of course, there's an off-track waiting for you. Now, no real-life drivers would not use all that off-track, but because our racing sets the 1Xs there, you can't really do anything about it. Now through here, you want to brake the car in a straight line and throw it down into this inside apex here. And once you get there, slam the throttle on and push it completely out wide. You want to get it up and out on that outside curving. You're basically trying to carry as much momentum you can through here. And then bring it straight back into the next apex. Now this is a very unique set of corners because sort of the more entry speed you carry, the more the downforce will push the car down and kind of the more apex speed you find. It really is, you kind of just have to keep building up to it and you find you can carry quite a large amount of speed through there once you're used to it. Now again, no braking marker here, but just braking just slightly after the curbing starts. Then bringing the front right up onto the inside curbing and sort of touching it in with the front right wheel. I don't like to get the car up a bit too high in here because it bumps it, but you want to sort of run the front wheel along this lollipop covered curbing. Then bring it again, open the corner up completely by getting your front left up on the inside wheel and push the car hard and the throttle out. And you don't want to run too deep out here because there's a 1X waiting for you on this green. It's all about finding the groove at this track. There's a really thinly narrow line that you've got to basically run the car in through every sequence of corners while pushing on the limit. If you unsettle the car by braking too deep or turning too hard on initial entry and you have to catch it mid-corner, it can often push you off the line through a sequence of corners and it costs a lot of time. Which is made worse by the fact the setups here are all very low downforce, so the car is quite twitchy. Once again, braking towards the outside of the track, just bringing it up over that inside curb. Just clipping that with the inside wheel and pushing out. There's an off track if you go any further than that out, so don't do that. Just keep it fairly straight along this curb and bring it back into the next apex. Now realistically you could go down the third here, but I find it unsettles the car a bit too much, so I just bring it down to the fourth. It lugs the engine a little bit on exit, but you know, at least it keeps it more aligned through the corner. Just flapped a bit. Now the braking marker into this final chicane is around here. Use that inside curve as the braking marker, and I'm braking just before it starts. You want to focus on carrying the momentum into the first apex as opposed to braking as late as possible. You lift off the brake and reduce the brake distance a bit early into the apex, clip that right hand corner and bring it straight back into the left hand. You want to get the front wheel very close to this inside curb. Then get hard in the throttle and push it out. And again, avoid that outside grass as that's a 1X and you're right at the end of the lap. Then just straight over the finish line. I probably didn't quite maximise this because I could have been on the brakes a little bit later, but what's important is I got both apexes which allowed me to carry the momentum through it. That's a 2:16.3. It's very hard to put together a complete lap at this track because the nature of the track means you have to really push the track limits to get that last few tenths of time. But there's also off tracks waiting for you basically everywhere. So it's a really fine line. You'll often find you put together 2/3 of a really good lap and you just grab that off track by going 30 centimeters too wide in one corner and then there's a lap gone. But this lap had no off tracks in it and it was the best I could put together.